Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsell, and I'd like to welcome you to our 6 steps to building a better business. And if you are listening to this as a recording, there will be times that I ask you to participate throughout. So just go ahead and play along, even though you're not live. For those who are live, you don't have your cameras on, that's okay. Just again, go ahead and participate as I ask questions throughout. Because you'll get the most benefit out of that. So being in business is a tough gig sometimes. It's one of the loneliest jobs there is. So I want to, first of all, thank you all for registering for this seminar to find out what business coaching is and how to grow your business. There are 6 ways to growing your business that we teach at Action Coach. And we find that by doing it this way, a systematic methodology, which by the way, we've been doing for over 26 years, has helped tens of thousands of companies. So many of you have probably made mistakes in your life. Go ahead and raise up your hand if you've ever made a mistake in your life. You know, for me, I've got to raise both hands and even my foot. But here's the idea about mistakes is we actually learn to walk by making mistakes, right? We fell down, we stumbled, we did a lot of things wrong, but in doing that, we were encouraged and supported and motivated and cheered on by those who loved us. So we didn't know we were making mistakes. All we knew is that we were doing exactly what we were supposed to. So what happens when we become adults? We're taught that we can't fail, right? So then we stop putting ourselves out there. Well, I guarantee that you'll learn specific steps, ideas, and strategies to help you stop making mistakes in your business and be a better business leader. But here's the trick. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there and you've got to take action. So if you just sit and listen to this seminar, you'll absorb about 7% of the content. If you take notes throughout the seminar, you're going to retain about 50%. And if you fully participate, so taking notes in colors, for example, uses both your left hand and right hand side of your brain. If you raise your hand when I ask you to raise your hand for things, or if you answer questions when I ask you to respond to questions, that retention rate actually goes up to 98%. So the only failure is the failure to what? Go ahead and call this out for me, everyone. Yeah, it's the failure to participate, right? So throughout this seminar and throughout life and in your business world, if you give 100%, then you're going to get 100% out of the experience. So at the end of the seminar, I'm going to ask you to take action, and I'm going to present you with an offer that you're going to want to take advantage of. So with a show of hands, thumbs up, or just a shout out to the screen if you're watching this recorded, just let me know if you're committed to participating fully throughout this seminar and taking action at the end. Okay, so a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Canada, moved to the US in 2005. I started working at the age of 15, running a local gas station when I opened the store on the weekends for the owner while he slept in. And then for the past 28 years, I've had a successful career of managing businesses and coaching business leaders within the corporate world. I've worked on many businesses that I'm sure you all know very well, like Raid and Off and Ziploc and Saran Wrap and Kentucky Fried Chicken, Edge and Skintimate Shave Gel, Scrubbing Bubbles, Pledge, Fantastic, Sargento Cheese, and Red Gold Tomatoes. These businesses range from 1.5 million in revenue to over 500 million. In that same time, I've coached and trained and taught and mentored well over 200 people. People I've coached have gone on to become vice presidents, presidents, and CEOs of organizations both here and in Canada. The reason that I do what I do is because of my family. I've chased my career over the past 10 years, which has required me to move frequently, and that's had a negative impact on my family. In fact, my wife's in 100% sales commission career, so every time we move, it takes her about 3 to 4 years to build up her business. And unfortunately, I was moving us every 3 to 4 years, which definitely hurt her career. This coupled with the fact that corporations have been moving away from a focus on employees and more of a focus on the bottom line profit led me to realize that that life was no longer a fit for me and my family. Additionally, growing up, I got teased a lot for not having brand names, and my parents could not afford them. And I didn't realize that we were quote unquote poor until I got into higher grades in school, and I started getting teased for not having those brand names. Well, then my dad got hurt at work. He was a mechanic, and he messed up his shoulder and was unable to work. So as a result, I've just always had a heart for helping others. I was a peer counselor in high school, a lay counselor at church. I was a big brother for a number of years. And my number one priority at work has always been to coach, train, and mentor my staff to help them to become better at doing my job than I am. My passion is to help others. And so with my business experience and my desire to help others, it just naturally led me into this coaching business. A little bit about Action Coach. It is privately owned and founded by Brad Sugars, who is the current CEO. He's an entrepreneur and author. And our vision is world abundance through business re-education. What that means is that for those folks who take the time to learn how to run a great business, the sky's really the limit, because we go to school to learn how to become an employee. We don't go to school to learn how to be a business owner. So when you invest in re-educating yourself on how to be a business owner, you differentiate yourself from all of your competitors. And again, the sky's the limit. We coach over 15,000 businesses each week around the world. We are the #1 business coaching firm, and here's a number of accolades that we've achieved around the world. And we've got about 1,000 coaching offices in 80 countries around the world. So my purpose as a business coach is to help business owners make a lot of money. It's about helping you as a business owner improve your business so that it can work without you, so that you can work less and make more, which ultimately sounds good to be true. And it would be too good to be true if it wasn't for the fact that we've been doing it with tens and thousands of businesses around the world. The system's not based on only theory. It's based on practical experience with real business owners achieving real results. So I'm going to reward you for your time investment this evening by teaching you ways to increase sales and profit, to free up your time, and to create an amazing team. So before we get into the meat of the program, I'd like each of you to think about what is your #1 learning for this seminar. And go ahead and write it down on a piece of paper or put it in the chat box. And the reason that I'm having you do that is because by writing your goal down, you've triggered what's called your reticular activating system, or your RAS for short. So how many of you have had the experience of buying a car, and then as you're driving around over the next week or so, you seem to notice that everyone around you is driving that same car? Well, it's not that everybody bought the new car the same time you did. It's that by you buying that car, you told your reticular activating system that it was important to you. And so it then is looking around you to find that thing that you've told it is important, and it's pointing it out to you. So your reticular activating system is the part of your brainstem that controls your level of consciousness. It's basically your subconscious. It's very powerful, and it works all day in the background on the things that you've told it that are important to you. So when you set goals, you give your subconscious specific direction on what to work on for you. You've probably had an experience where you couldn't solve a problem all day, and then after a good night's sleep, you seem to wake up in the morning with the solution. That's because your RAS was working on that problem while you were sleeping, working on it on your behalf. So goals are critical in all that we do. To be successful as a business owner, you must have yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals, because the goals are the compass for your brain. And that is what allows you to utilize your subconscious, which represents about 90% of your brain. So many people have probably heard the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? In fact, you probably have said many times, I'll try harder, right? I'll I'll try to do that again, or I'll try to do it better next time. Well, here's the problem with that. You can't try. Trying's not an action. You either do something or you don't do something. You can't try to do something. So we call this idea of doing or not doing the point of power. And you're either above the point of power or you're below the point of power. So folks who are below the point of power live in this proverbial bed of life. What are the three things that they do? Call these out for me. What's the first one?
Well, blame,
Blame. Yep. And what is the second one?
excuses,
Yeah, excuses. And what's number three?
denial.
Denial. Yeah. So folks who live in blame, excuses, and denial are the ones who look at the world and feel like they have no control, that the world is controlling them. When COVID happened, for example, these are the folks who duck their head in the sand and say, hey, there's nothing I can do about this. The government shut down the world. And so I'm just going to wait until this is over. And unfortunately, it lasted way longer than most people thought. And those folks who duck their head in the sand, unfortunately have gone out of business. So instead of blame, excuses, and denial, we've got to live above the point of power. These folks take their oar of life, right? And they chart their own course by taking ownership, by being accountable, and by being responsible for their situation. So we've actually have a daily choice to make in terms of whether we're going to allow ourselves to fall into that proverbial bed of life, or if we're going to take our oar of life. Now, even if we make the decision that we're going to stay above the point of power, there's going to be times that something didn't go our way. We're going to get that punch in the stomach, and it's going to knock us down below the point of power. I remember one day I was in a meeting at work, and it was with the leadership team and a couple of the owners. And one of the guys said something that just really frustrated me. And I excused myself from the meeting. I went to my office and I packed up my stuff, went out to my car and started driving home. That's how angry I was. And then as I was driving home, I started to think about, how am I going to explain this to my wife? And so I did a U-turn, went back to work with my tail between my legs. I walked back into the meeting and excused myself for stepping out. And fortunately, I was able to keep my job. The reason that I share that is, right, we're going to do things that are below the point of power all the time. The important thing is to recognize them and to course correct and do the next right thing to get ourselves back above the point. So we can either choose to be powerless, or we can choose to be powerful. It's each of our individual choices. So let me tell you a little bit about learning here. How many of you know teenage kids who are experts at saying, I know? Right? There'll be things that we remind them about that they always forget. And the first thing out of their mouth is, I know, Mom. And they don't, right? Well, here's the thing. When we become older, when we become adults, we just get more polite at the way that we say, I know. We might cross our arms in a meeting. We might just whisper it under our breath to ourselves that, yeah, I know, or we may subtly roll our eyes. But this approach kills the possibility that maybe we can learn something from that conversation. By saying, I know, we're telling our reticular activating system that there's no value here and that it should go off and work on other projects or other goals that we've set for it. So we then miss out on the opportunity of learning in that situation because of the fact that we think that we know it all. So instead of saying, I know, can I get agreement that everyone is going to do something different here? So instead of I know, let's try something like, isn't that interesting? By saying something like, isn't that interesting, we actually keep our mind open to the possibilities that we can actually learn something in that situation. And then the other thing that we all need to do to get the most out of learning is that we must be willing to have some what? Call that out for me, everyone.
Fun.
Yeah, we must be willing to have fun, because you know what? Business is hard. And like I said earlier, sometimes we get those punches in the stomach, or we get a decision from a customer or a client that is opposite of what we wanted, and it knocks the wind out of us. So we've got to make sure that we're focusing on the positive, that we're creating opportunities to celebrate along the way, So for example, my wife and I, with my stepson, we have at the end of each week on Fridays, we have pizza and movie night. And that's a way for us to transition from the work week into the weekend. And it's such a routine that even during holidays, if it's a Friday and it lands on a holiday, my stepson still says, aren't we going to have pizza night? And so you want to have routines in your business life and in your personal life to make sure that the journey is fun. So let's think about your business for a minute here. There are two types of businesses, really. One's where the business is driving the business owner and they have their hand in all of the day-to-day activities. All decisions need to be made by them. No one can do the job as well as them. And they're working 60, 70, or 80 hours a week. And the other type is where the business owner is driving the business. They have a team that takes care of the day-to-day and things run very smoothly. And the owner is able to duck out early to see their kids in a school activity or have a 4-day weekend or take 2 weeks off for vacation without a worry. So how many of you know people who have given up running their business and have gone back to a job because they got burnt out? Well, unfortunately, most business owners have actually only really bought themselves a job. And in that job, they're working more hours and making less money than when they worked for someone else. And over time, this does lead to burnout. And there are many businesses that go out of business. In fact, about 80% of businesses that start go out of business within 5 years. And then another 80% of those businesses go out of business in about another 5 years. And the number one reason that those businesses fail is because of owner burnout. So instead of buying ourselves a job, what we all need to be working towards as business owners is climbing up the entrepreneurial ladder. So we want to go from working for someone else as an employee to being self-employed, where we've just bought ourselves a job, to becoming a manager where we have other employees working for us, to becoming a business owner where the business is able to run without us, to then using that passive income to invest in other businesses or real estate or the stock market, to true entrepreneur where we've got multiple streams of passive income and we're acquiring wealth over time. So in order to get there, in order to move from having bought ourselves a job to being a true business owner, we need to identify this formula for change. So if we find ourselves not being willing to change or staying within our status quo, we've got to look at this formula and understand where we're at. So D times V plus F has to be greater than R. So our dissatisfaction with our current situation times a vision of a better tomorrow plus an understanding of the first steps to get there must be greater than our resistance to change. At Action Coach, we define a business very differently than most. It's not about buying ourselves a job. It's about becoming a true business owner of a successful business. And we define a successful business as a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you. And we have a methodology to build this successful business called the 6 steps. I'm going to walk through those now. So step 1, what is that? This one, everybody call that out for me. Yeah, mastery.
Eliminate chaos.
Yeah, so mastery is all about eliminating chaos. Exactly. And so how do we know if we're a master at something? It's because somebody comes to us and asks us to teach them how to do it. But here's the problem. When people start a business, are they masters at running a business? No, they're masters at carpentry or baking or engineering or masters of being an accountant or a lawyer or whatever. So instead, you need to become a master at running a business. This is all about eliminating chaos. Okay? Step 2 is niche or niche, however you pronounce it. At this level, it's all about creating a predictable cash flow. So how do you know if you have a niche in your business? It's because you're not competing on price. The day that you compete on price, you don't have a niche. So this is all about marketing to bring in that predictable cash flow. Step 3 then is leverage. Leverage is all about systems in your business. So we need to make sure that everyone in the business is systematizing the company so that we're able to buy back our time and create a more efficient and effective business. Then we create a team. We get the right people on the bus, sitting in the right seat on the bus. Then we achieve synergy where we've got a well-oiled machine, and ultimately we achieve the overall results that we set out to have in our business in the first place. So, but here's the challenge with all of this, right? Do you think that the average business owner is missing one or two of these steps? Absolutely. So now I'm going to walk through each step to give you a little bit more detail. So the first one is mastery. Here again, it's all about going from chaos to control. And back to our definition of a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you, the mastery level is all about creating a commercial enterprise. And there's 4 areas that we focus on in mastery. The first is destination mastery. This is about creating the end in mind, determining, using Stephen Covey's analogy of what do I want my business to look like when it's done, and then working backwards to create a plan to get there. So for example, I've got one client who determined that she wants her business to be $1 million in 5 years from now, but she didn't have any goals in place to get there. So we developed her 3-year goal and her 1-year goal and then her 90-day plan in order to move her business towards those goals. The next area of mastery is money mastery. This is all about having a solid understanding of your financials, a monthly P&L and a balance sheet and cash flow projections and break-even analysis so that you know that the state of your business. I had one client when we first started working together, told me that they don't know what their financials are. They just give all their information to their accountant at the end of the year and then pray that they were profitable. So instead of praying, what we need to do is make sure that we know the numbers in our business. The third area of mastery is time mastery. This is about ensuring that you're spending your time on the most important areas of the business, working both on your business as well as in your business, making sure that you're able to allocate an appropriate amount of time a week to be working on your business so that you can move your business forward. Doing a time study and having a default diary in place to make sure that you're being disciplined with how you use your time. And then finally, delivery mastery. This is all about consistently meeting and beating your customers or your client expectations to ensure that they are happy with the level of service that you're providing to them. The next step then is niche. And again, this is all about creating a predictable cash flow. So going back to our definition, at the niche level, we're now creating a commercial profitable enterprise. And as I said earlier, the reason that we're creating a profitable enterprise is because we're not competing on price. When you're competing on price, you don't have a niche. And the reason that, the biggest reason that companies can go out of business is that they get into this trap of feeling like they've got to compete on price. And then it becomes this death spiral to the bottom as competitors are working against each other and keep dropping their price. And then everybody is basically making no profit and eventually going out of business. Here's the biggest aha about competing on price. Someone bigger than you is always going to be willing to undercut you to steal market share. So the moment you start playing and competing on price, you've set yourself up for long-term failure. So I know that this is a hard one for folks to really understand and comprehend, but instead of offering price discounts, what I want everybody to think about is increasing your prices, right? Creating a business proposition so that you are able to charge the price that your business needs in order to be sustainable and profitable. We've done many studies that have shown that by taking a 10% price increase, most times the only customers that you lose are the ones that are actually costing you more than they're worth anyway. And so by increasing your prices, they leave and it frees you up to focus more on your profitable customers. So the way that we create this niche in order to be able to charge the price that we want is by coming up with a unique selling proposition, determining what it is about your business that clearly differentiates you from your competitors and making sure to use that in your marketing. And then second is to have a guarantee. Think about what is the number one hesitation or reservation that your customers or clients have about buying your service, and then develop that as a guarantee against that hesitation or concern. So for example, in business coaching, the biggest question or concern that we hear is, well, what if it doesn't work? So at Action Coach, we have a guarantee. We guarantee that within our one-on-one coaching arrangements, your business will grow enough within 17 weeks to pay for my fee, or I keep working for free until it does. Right? So that overcomes their biggest challenge and hesitation, and now they're willing to invest in themselves because they don't have that worry about a return on investment. The other thing that we need to do within niche, within our marketing and sales, is test and measure. So here's the idea of testing and measuring is we don't want to spend money in marketing unless we know that it works. Right? So I have one client that before we started working together, they'd signed up for a magazine ad, and the salesperson convinced them to buy an 18-month subscription because there was a significant cost savings. Unfortunately, that magazine didn't deliver her any results. And so the better approach would have been for her to test it for 1 month or 2 months and see whether or not it was a positive marketing strategy for her. And then once she determined that it was, then take advantage of the savings of buying into an 18-month program. So we want to make sure that any marketing activities that we're doing, that we have the ability to measure the results. Otherwise, those marketing activities just become an expense. And we want to make sure that marketing is an investment instead of an expense. So the next thing that we focus on in niche is the marketing and sales, as I just talked about. And we use a tool at Action Coach called the 5 Ways to Massive Profits. So let me explain how this works. So most business owners generally know how many customers they have, what their revenue is, and how much profit they make. So which one of these do you think is most important? So
they have.
Which one?
How many customers they have.
Okay, how many customers? Great. Well, actually, it's a trick question because each of these are just results. Okay? Meaning you can't go out tomorrow and get another customer. You can't go out tomorrow and just increase your revenue or your profit. Okay? This is where it gets really exciting. What you can do is focus on the 5 ways to massive profits that are in blue here. Okay? So you can put programs together to generate more leads. You can improve your conversion rate. You can improve the number of transactions or your repeat business. You can increase your average dollar sale, and you can improve your profit margins, right? And when you do all of those things, then customers' revenue and profit will increase as a result because they are results of those activities. So let me walk through each of these and explain what each of those are. So leads, we define a lead as somebody who's ready to buy from you. They've asked for a proposal, or they've asked how much it costs. They've come into your store and they've brought an item up to the cash register. Okay. Conversion rate is how many of those people who have asked for a proposal actually end up buying from you. So number of leads times conversion rate equals your number of customers. Number of transactions is a measure of repeat business. So how many times a year do those people buy from you? Okay. Average dollar sale is how much on average do those people spend each time they buy from you. So customers times number of transactions times average dollar sale equals your revenue. And then your profit margin is how much profit, what percentage of that revenue is profit. So then revenue times your profit margin is profits. So let me show you some numbers to give you more context of how this formula works. So in this example, we have 4,000 leads. Our conversion rate is 25%. So 4,000 times 25 equals 1,000 customers. We've got 2 transactions. And so again, 2 transactions, meaning some customers may only buy from you once. Some customers may buy from you 8, 9, 10 times, but on average, all of those 1,000 customers buy from you 2 times a year. Okay? The average dollar spend each time, average dollar sale is $100. So same idea is some customers might spend $10, some customers might spend $1,000, but on average, they spend $100 per transaction. So 1,000 customers times 2 transactions times $100 equals 200,000 in revenue. Profit margin is 25%. So 200,000 times 25% is 50,000 in profit. I'm going to come back to this formula in a little bit to illustrate the rest of the 6 steps. We're going to go through the other steps first here. So step 3 is leverage. Back to our formula. It's a commercial profitable enterprise that works. And it works because we've put the systems in place. So leverage is all about systems. And we define systems as saving yourself time, energy, and money because we're making the business run more efficiently and effectively. There are 9 areas that we systematize within a business. Your vision statement, a mission statement, culture statements. We develop SMART goals. We have an organization chart. We create positional contracts. We develop key performance indicators for all positions within the company. And we have how-to systems on how to operate every different part of the business. And overall, there's a management system in place to keep people on track and on task. Then step 4 is team. Back to our definition, we now have a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you, the business owner. And it works without you, the business owner, because we've got the team in place. This is all about making sure that we've got the right people on the bus. They're sitting in the right seat on the bus, and we've set them up for success through the training that we've provided them. So as your coach, I help you build your team. And then here is the cycle of business. If you've got the right team in place, the team is able to take care of your customers. So you, the owner, your focus is the strategic direction of the organization and taking care of your team. When you take care of your team, the team takes care of the customers. When the customers are taken care of, they take care of the business through repeat business and referrals. And when the business is taken care of, it takes care of you, the owner, through the profits that the business delivers. And then step 5 is synergy. Step 6 is result. This is all about when 1 + 1 equals more than 3, right? Or sorry, more than 2. Right? You've got the team in place, you've got the systems in place, you've got your marketing and sales engine in place, you've got a solid foundation of your business. So you, the business owner, can start to think about what's next. Maybe you want to open another location. Maybe you want to start another business. Maybe you're going to invest in real estate or the stock market. Right? You've got this business running without you, so you can use the passive income from this business to start to build wealth by investing in other businesses or other areas. So at this level, it's all about growth first, and then your freedom, the freedom of not being tied to the day-to-day of this business. So when we work through all of those 6 steps, we then are able to, as I said, invest in other things. So let's come back to our little business that I shared with you earlier in terms of the 5 ways to massive profits. And as a reminder, here are the numbers that I walked through earlier. So in general, with our clients, if we, for those clients who just implement this tracker in their business, they see an average of a 10% increase on each of those 5 areas across their business, because what gets measured gets focused on, And when we focused on something, it naturally improves. On top of that, when we start working together, I give you a list of over 350 strategies across these 5 areas of proven things that have worked with our clients over the years. And you go through that and circle a couple of strategies for each of the 5 areas that you want to implement in your business over the next 12 months. So do you feel if we were to do that, if we implemented a couple strategies in each area, that you'd be able to increase your business by 10% in each of those 5 areas? Yes. So most times I hear an absolute yes, because what I said earlier was just by putting this tracker in place, our clients see an average of a 10%. So let's look at what a 10% increase would be. So number of leads. If we were to improve the leads by 10%, we'd go up to 4,400. So one strategy to increase your number of leads is to ask your current clients to refer you to people that they know that would also use your services or your products. Okay. On conversion rate. So a great way to improve your conversion rate is to have those same customers who love you write you a testimonial. Write down why they like you so much, why they like your products or services, and then you use those testimonials with new prospects, with new leads, to have them hear from your customers that love you why they love you so much. So if we were to implement that strategy and improve our conversion rate by 10%, it would go from 25% to 27.5. So then 4,400 times 27.5 equals customers of 1,210. Number of transactions, if we were to improve that by 10%, we would go from 2 to 2.2. One great way to improve number of transactions is to ask your current customers to buy from you again. Hair salon example is a good one here, where we all know how long we should, or how often we should get our hair cut, right? So for me, it's about 4 weeks. Now, I don't always get back to the hairdresser every 4 weeks because I get busy, I lose track of time. So if the hair salon was to pre-book me for every 4 weeks before I left, then they would be making up those additional opportunities to cut my hair that I might forget to do, and I may only come back every 6 weeks because I get busy. Okay. All right, so then average dollar sale, if we were to improve from 100, go up by 10%, we'd go to 110. One strategy here to increase your average dollar sale is to have a good, better, best pricing model. Some percentage of every buddy who buys from you is going to want the Cadillac version, whether they need it or not. So if you don't have a Cadillac version, right, if you don't have a best offering, you're leaving money on the table. So I want you to think about, how do you have a good, better, best pricing strategy within your company? So then if we have 1,210 customers times 2.2 transactions times 110, our revenue goes up to 292,820. Now, profit margins, if we were to improve by 10% here, we'd go from 25 to 27.5. Then the easiest way to improve your profit margin is to take a price increase. And as I mentioned earlier, I know folks are reluctant to take price increases, but here's the reality, right? All of your costs go up every year. So why shouldn't you be passing those along to your customers? Right? We see an average of a 10% price increase does not have a negative impact on your business, as I explained earlier. So dig into your business, check and see where you can take at least a 10% increase, if not more. So if we have a revenue of 292,820 and a new profit margin of 27.5, our new profit would be 80,225. Now, here's the amazing thing about this formula. Our customers went up 21%, our revenue went up 46%, and our profit went up 61%. The reason for that is each of those line items are multiplied. So we have a multiplier effect. So who would like to see a 61% increase in their profit over the next 12 months? Yeah, so let's look at what would this look like if we continue to make those 10% increases over the next 5 years. Okay? By simply improving 10% in each of those 5 areas over the next 5 years. So in year 2, we'd see a profit increase of 159%. In year 3, a profit increase of 317%. In year 4, 571% increase in profit. And in year 5, a whopping 983% increase in profit. Who would like to see an almost 1,000% increase in their profit over the next 5 years, or almost $500,000 in more profit? Well, as you can see, that formula that I just walked you through, it's simple in terms of making small incremental changes in 5 different areas of your business by using strategies that have already been proven to work within our client base, and then using that test and measuring philosophy that I talked about earlier. Because, here's the thing about running a business that you guys all know this, right? Is it's not a silver bullet, right? It's not a one size fits all. So as you're implementing these strategies in your business, you're going to have to test and measure them and figure out which ones work best for you. And then once you find the ones that work really well, you invest more effort and dollars into those activities so that you get these types of results in your business. So let me end here, or start to wind down with a couple of quotes. The first is from Richard Branson. He says, if you can learn to run one business successfully, then there's no reason you can't run any number of businesses at the same time, because the principles are the same. Right? So back to the 6 steps and the 5 ways that I just talked you through. Those are the chassis of running a great business. Those are best practices that large corporations use in their business to make them incredibly successful and profitable. And so it's a matter of using those same best practices and implementing them in your business. Once you've learned how to do that, you then can very easily take those same best practices and implement them in business number 2 and in business number 3, and so on and so forth, and build that wealth over time. So Jim Rohn, quote from him was, "Never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. Always work harder on yourself than you do on your job." And then Brad Sugars, our founder, says, "Where you'll be in 5 years will depend on the books you read, the people you associate with, and the actions you take." We can get ourselves in this paradigm of just reading and planning and coming up with these great ideas, but if we don't take action, then it's all for naught. So here's the hard reality: is we're either growing or we're dying. There's no such thing as status quo, because if we're not growing, our competitors are. And therefore, as a result, we're actually declining versus our competitors. So you're going to become the average of the 5 business owners you spend the most time with, either physically spend the most time with, or by reading, or by watching videos. So really think about, what are you doing to invest in yourself, to become a better version of yourself, to become a better business owner, so that you can achieve better results. And then Tiger Woods, quote, he says, "No matter how tough you think you are, you can't do this on your own." And he's referring to the value of his coach as well as his support team. So let's come back to the goal that you wrote down in the beginning. Did you feel like you got at least one valuable learning out of this seminar?
Yes.
Do you feel like you got 3 things that you can apply to your business right away?
I'm not sure, but it's my business is kind of unique. It's a service business, and of course, it was always important to take care of the services so that we would have repeat customers. And consequently, we didn't work on the business as much as we could, because we were so busy taking care of the customers and their needs. We focused on the day-to-day operations and completing what had to be completed until the next day when we'd have to complete a brand new set of tasks for different customers.
Right. All right. So here's the thing that I'd like you to focus on, Jim, and everybody else as well, is make sure that you write down that number one thing that you learned today, and not only write it down, but commit to what action you're going to implement in your business over the next 30 days to leverage that learning. Right? Back to what I was saying earlier, is the biggest mistake business owners make is that they think about all these great ideas, but then they never follow through on the action. So our business name is intentional. It's Action Coach, because we know how important action is. So make sure that you're all writing down your number one learning, and that you've got some process in place to hold yourself accountable to implementing that learning over the next 30 days. Right? So remember at the beginning of this seminar, I mentioned that you'd all be given an offer that you'd be crazy not to take advantage of. Well, there's two directions that folks can go at this point in time. So the first one is folks can say, hey, Tim, thank you so much for this information. I got a lot of value out of this. I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes, and I'm going to take it from here and give it a go on my own. And maybe you'll buy one of Brad's books to help you along the way. Or those of you who want to get massive results, you might be asking, how do I get more details about what you've learned today? So this is what I do. As your business coach, I work with you to implement the 6 steps that we just talked through in your business. I become your uncomfortable friend who pushes you when you need a kick in the butt, who confronts you when you're in that blame, excuses, and denial, and who reminds you of your end game when things get tough and you want to quit. Because yes, business is hard, and there will be times that you want to quit and give up on yourself. And just like a sports coach who continually pushes folks to excel, you would have hired me to do the same with you, so that you can achieve the business successes you want and be able to realize the personal dreams that you have. So if you choose the second option, if you want massive results and you're ready to do whatever it takes to get there, I've got a special offer for you. I figure there's no better way to know if we should be working together in a coaching relationship than to actually do a coaching session. And the first one's on me. Everyone watching this seminar is invited to have a complimentary coaching session with me valued at $2,500. I have a limited number of these sessions that I offer each month. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, you're going to want to get in on this right away. This starts with a brief questionnaire, and then we'll meet for 2 hours to do a deep dive in your business to show you how our methods will help you and to enable you to determine if coaching is right for you. And if we both agree that coaching makes sense for you, I'll ask you to make a decision about coaching right away. Look, my passion is growing businesses and growing business leaders. So I guarantee that you'll walk away from that coaching session with at least one significant strategy that you can implement in your business immediately. Even if you decide that coaching's not from you, you're going to get that value from that business coaching session. So if you want to take advantage of this complimentary coaching session, please send me a message or go ahead and register on the URL that's shown here on the screen. All right, so now it's time to take action and implement that number one strategy that you wrote down. Many people fail to follow through at this point because they don't have someone to hold them accountable. So make sure you've got that accountability partner in your life, that you've got a mechanism in place to ensure that you're going to implement the number one learning that you got out of the presentation today. That ends the presentation. I open the floor to any questions that folks might have.
I wrote on the chat, this is Jim at Tri-State. I wrote on the chat that I'm looking to develop our website and also develop a marketing strategy from it after the website's developed. And why haven't I done it up until now? It's because I've just been working in the business and And as a result, I haven't devoted the proper time to making the business better than it is on paper. Showing, having a marketing strategy, emailing attorneys, finding out how they are, what they need, do they have referrals? These are all things that a marketing strategy, I believe, should be part of my the company Tri-State Judicial, and that's. But I also have one conflict is that I am trying to semi-retire at
Mm,
this point in time. I'm over age 70, and I feel that um, there should be some kind of semi-retirement. There should be some work, and I do have someone that I have in my life that I want to try to spend more time with.
mhm,
And at this point, this COVID thing has just impacted all of my plans. And as a result, I haven't been to the office since March.
mhm.
And at the same time, I've tried to interact with the office staff in order to provide what they may need from me, as I do have 45 years experience in this business of process serving and court services for attorneys.
So Jim, what's the one step that you can take to move towards that goal of having the website developed and the marketing strategy in place?
I'm, there is somebody who's interested and is going to complete buying out my share of the business. So, but the communication about developing the marketing strategy and making the website better is has not been good. Communication is probably the biggest problem that I have at this point in time, and it's the kind of a communication where I might make a suggestion this morning, and I don't get a response and at all, and then I have to follow up and look for the response, and it's a little frustrating.
Mhm.
But the team in the office is taking care of the attorneys that we work for at this time, and also the money cash flow has been a problem over the past 10 months, 9 months.
Sure.
And, uh, it's, we're not going to go out of business, but I want to put the company in a position where they can improve as soon as we can um, provide the services that the attorneys need as we go forward. And, there's problems with the process servers. Some of them are not working. There's everything is much slower with COVID. So it's just things that are difficult
Mhm.
in general, but I hope I've made it clear what my goals are in conjunction with what I'd like the business to do, because I want to see everyone on the team progress as we go forward
Yeah.
in the best way possible for them all.
Fantastic. Well, Jim, I'd be happy to take you through that complimentary coaching session. We can dig into your challenges a little more deeply, and maybe even have your business partner, or the person that is looking to buy the business from you, involved in that, because then you'll both be on the same page in terms of aligning on the strategies to move forward, and determining if coaching is something that you want to participate in.
I do appreciate your offer, and I do need some time to try to wrap my mind around what you're offering. And I understand that the session is complimentary, and I probably could use it. I do need a couple of days to think about it, because we're going to have a meeting with the accountant for our business, I believe on Friday. So I'm trying to, before I commit to anything and say anything, I want to understand what the results of the meeting are from Friday.
Absolutely. And know, Jim, that this meeting is complimentary. It's also a no obligation, no high pressure sales pitch. My heart is to help people, and some people are going to say, hey, this is the right fit for me, and I do want to move forward in coaching, and some people won't, and that's okay, right? The most important thing is that everybody that goes through it gets value out of it, and finds things that they can apply to your business. So don't worry about whether you know if you want coaching or not. If you think that if you think that it's something that could benefit you and you'd like to learn more, then please take advantage of it.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I the point of power at the beginning of this presentation that you've been making, Tim, the ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Those are things that I'm a little bit not the strongest on.
Mm.
I'm good at blaming and excuses and denial.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to change that and trying to get myself on a more positive track. And I appreciate your offer of the action coaching.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And that's part of coaching as well, is there's both the practical things that I walked through today, but the other thing that a coach does is, I have my own coach, and one of the things that she does is holds me accountable, right? And also doesn't allow me to give her those blame, excuses, and denial. When I go down below the point of power, she calls me out on it and tells me, okay, Tim, that's great, but what are you going to do next, right? How are you going to turn that around and take ownership? And sometimes, it's not the most pleasant, but it's exactly what I need to hear, and it's exactly what I need to move my business forward. So, well, Jim, it's been a pleasure meeting you, and I appreciate your questions. And we will follow up after this as well with an email, so that you've got the information to be able to take advantage of that offer if it's something that you decide to take advantage of.
Thank you, Tim, for letting me know about that forthcoming email and how to participate with you.
All right, fantastic. Have yourself a great night.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
You as well. Okay.